My fiancé said if you don't like it then leave during a fight about her girls' trips. I said okay. She expected me to back down. Instead I did something that made her beg me to stay. She found out the hard way when she thought she had me locked down. That no matter how far she pushed I would always bounce back like some loyal dog waiting at the door. So when she rolled her eyes, tossed her hair, and said those words, if you don't like it then leave, she thought it was just another power move. Another game of emotional chicken where I would blink first. But this time I didn't blink. I didn't flinch. I didn't fold. I just looked at her, smiled, and said okay. No drama, no shouting, no storming off. Just calm, cold silence. She left for her girls' trip thinking she won. That when she came back I would be right there, flowers in hand, apologies ready, and begging for her attention. But she was wrong. Because while she was sipping cocktails and taking blurry selfies with her ex in the background, I was busy doing the one thing she never expected. I was walking away. Not to punish her. Not to prove a point. But because I finally realized I deserved better. And what happened when she came home? Well, let's just say she didn't find the man she used to control. She found out the hard way that when a man gets tired of being disrespected, he doesn't shout. He vanishes. She left for her trip like she always did, head high, lips glossed, phone charged, and zero explanation beyond the usual "it's just a weekend with the girls." No reassurance. No plans discussed. No you and me conversations. Just her and her suitcase disappearing again. It wasn't the first time either. The first couple of trips I let slide. I told myself she needed space, independence, fun. But with each passing getaway, I started to feel like an afterthought in my own relationship. She never introduced me to the friends she was always flying off with. She never tagged me in anything. And the excuses were always vague, like, oh, we were too busy, or it was just a chill night. I kept my doubts quiet. Until the night she dropped that line during a petty argument about communication. If you don't like it, then leave. Just like that. No emotion, no hesitation. As if walking away from our engagement was as casual as canceling dinner plans. She underestimated me. Because for 2 years I had tried. I planned date nights, made sacrifices, adjusted my schedule to be present for her. I supported her career, helped her prep for interviews, even typed her resume. I was the guy who showed up. But she had slowly turned that consistency into something she resented. Like loyalty had become boring. So when she left that Friday for Cancun, laughing with her suitcase rolling behind her, she assumed I'd still be waiting when she came back. That I'd just sulk a bit, maybe send a sad text, and then welcome her with open arms. What she didn't know was that the second the door shut behind her, I opened a new one for myself. I started packing. Every shirt, every charger, every piece of my life she had once treated like an accessory to hers. I wasn't running away. I was setting myself free. From a love that only existed when it was convenient for her. While she was posting beach photos and cocktail boomerangs with captions like "living my best life," I was living something she never expected. Reality. The one where I wasn't her backup plan anymore. I moved methodically. No announcements, no drama. I booked a short-term apartment 2 blocks away, clean, quiet, nothing fancy. I didn't cry over old photos or reread her texts. I boxed my things without hesitation, without the weight of second thoughts. Because when someone dares you to leave enough times, eventually your heart listens. I canceled the wedding venue deposit. Not out of spite. But because there was no wedding. Not when only one of us was actually planning a life together. Her name stayed on the lease. I took my name off the utilities. I even left the couch she insisted on picking out because she said it matched her vibe. She could keep the couch. I was done matching her anything. Every moment of that weekend felt lighter. The more I let go, the more I could breathe. I wasn't heartbroken. I was healing in real time. Then came the texts. Not from her, but from her cousin who was supposed to help coordinate the bridal shower. "Hey, is everything okay?" She said, "You've been quiet." And all I said was, "Yeah, I'm good." Because I was. She, on the other hand, was about to come home to something she never saw coming. A clean space. And my absence. And the silence that only comes when someone stops begging to be seen and starts walking like they never needed permission to leave in the first place. Monday rolled around, and just like clockwork she landed back in the city, tan full of stories and ready to act like nothing happened. She texted me as soon as she got service. "Be home in 20. Missed you." I didn't reply. I was already gone. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, fully. She walked into the apartment expecting things to be exactly how she left them. Same old routine. Me cooking dinner. Her tossing her bag on the couch. Me asking about her trip. Her giving half answers while scrolling Instagram. But not this time. She stepped inside and immediately froze. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Closets were empty. My books were gone. Desk clear. No laptop. No shoes by the door. No cologne in the bathroom. No jacket hanging on the hook she always hated. Just a folded note on the table. Short, sharp, final. "You said if I don't like it then leave." So I did. Take care. She called out my name once. Twice. No answer. Just the sound of her own heartbeat echoing back at her through the silence. Then came the panic. The texts. "Where are you? Why is your stuff gone? What is going on?" I waited for the one that mattered. And it came 30 minutes later. "Please talk to me. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. Can we fix this?" But you can't fix something you kept breaking on purpose. You can't reverse a slap to someone's worth. You can't tell someone to leave, then cry because they actually did. She wasn't sorry I was gone. She was sorry she lost control. She was sorry she no longer had someone to walk all over. Someone to ignore and expect loyalty from in return. But me, I was somewhere else. On a small balcony. New place. Peaceful view. New start. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt chosen. Because I had finally chosen myself. The next day she showed up at my new place. I never told her where it was. She must have asked someone, maybe guilt-tripped my sister or tracked a delivery. Didn't matter. She was at my door, eyes red, lips trembling like the world had shifted under her feet. "Please," she whispered when I opened the door. "Can we just talk?" I stepped aside, let her in. Not because I wanted her back, but because I needed her to see the version of me that no longer belonged to her. She walked in slow, like she was stepping into a memory that didn't fit anymore. The apartment was simple, calm, untouched by her chaos. And that scared her more than anything. "Is this really happening?" she asked, sitting on the edge of my couch like she didn't know how to be in a space she hadn't controlled. I nodded. She tried to smile, but it cracked halfway through. "I didn't mean what I said, you know that, right? I was just upset. You shouldn't have taken it so seriously." And right there, that sentence told me everything I needed to know. She still didn't get it. She thought I left because I couldn't handle anger. But I left because she weaponized it. "You told me to leave," I said quietly. And I finally listened. Because love doesn't live in ultimatums. It lives in effort. And respect. And choosing each other even when it's not convenient. She cried. Not pretty tears. Not movie tears. But heavy, gasping regret. She kept saying, "I thought you'd fight for us." And I kept thinking, I did. For 2 years. But I was the only one throwing punches in a ring where she kept walking out between rounds. I made her tea. Listened to her apologize. Watched her plead. But my heart stayed still. Not bitter. Not angry. Just done. Because you don't rebuild with someone who only notices the cracks when the roof caves in. You rebuild with someone who holds the ladder while you patch it. And she had dropped that ladder a long time ago. A week passed. She kept trying. Text after text. Voice notes full of "I miss you" and "please just give me one more chance." She even showed up at my mom's house asking for advice, asking if there was still hope. But what she was really asking was, can I still control the outcome? She didn't want me back. She wanted the version of me that tolerated her emotional games. That stayed quiet during disrespect. That accepted half-love because it was better than none. But that version of me was gone. I didn't post anything petty. Didn't shade her online. Didn't jump into a rebound relationship to prove a point. I just lived, peacefully, with clarity. And that silence, that unbothered stillness, was louder than any speech I could have given. One day she tried one last thing. A public post. A picture of us from a year ago with some dramatic caption like when love was real. Her followers commented heart emojis and stay strong and he doesn't deserve you. But the people who knew me, really knew me, they didn't buy it. They remembered how many times she disappeared. How many times she bragged about putting me in my place. How she once said, "He's lucky I even put up with his overthinking." Her own bridesmaid texted me, "She's spiraling." Honestly, you did what most men don't. You walked away with dignity. And that was it. That's when I knew I had finally closed the chapter. She wasn't mourning love. She was mourning control. She missed having someone waiting for her. Someone dependable. Someone predictable. But I wasn't her safety net anymore. I was my own foundation now. And every step I took away from her was a reminder that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is believe someone when they show you who they are. She told me to leave. So I did. And I never looked back. Weeks turned into months. And each day that passed without her felt less like a wound and more like freedom. Not the loud kind of freedom you post about online, but the quiet type. The kind that lets you sleep deeply. That lets you eat in peace. That makes a simple walk through your neighborhood feel like a fresh start. She tried to hold on in all the subtle ways. I'd see her name pop up in my suggestions. New accounts watching my stories. Mutual friends mentioning her name in conversations like bait. But I didn't bite. Because healing means choosing not to reopen the door that hurt you just to see if it still stings. One afternoon I ran into her by accident. I was at a local bookstore, picking up a journal and a new novel. She was with a friend, hair curled. Sunglasses perched on her head like she was still trying to look untouched by everything. But the second she saw me, her whole posture changed. Eyes wide, breath caught, like she had just seen a ghost that remembered everything she hoped people would forget. She smiled, small, unsure. I nodded politely and turned away. Not because I was trying to be cold, but because that moment didn't deserve to be more than it was. Just a memory passing through reality. Later that night she texted me, "Seeing you today was surreal. Hope you're doing well." I left it on read, not out of pettiness, but because she had already said goodbye, and I had already accepted it. The people closest to me started noticing the change. My sister said I seemed lighter. My best friend told me I laughed more. Even my coworkers noticed how I carried myself differently. It was like shedding her also shed every ounce of self-doubt I used to carry in silence. I started traveling again. Small trips at first, then bigger ones. Places I had always wanted to visit. Mountains, oceans, quiet cities where no one knew my name. Each journey felt like reclaiming pieces of myself that had been buried under her approval. One night I was sitting by a lake cabin miles away from anywhere. Stars overhead, fire crackling, phone on silent. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at her. Not at the past. Not even at myself for staying so long. Because every mistake taught me how to love myself better. Every ignored red flag taught me how to build stronger boundaries. Every silence she gave me taught me how to speak up for myself. She was a lesson, a necessary one. And some lessons come wrapped in beauty and chaos. Eventually I heard she got engaged again. To someone else. Someone new. I didn't feel jealous. Didn't wonder about the what-ifs. Because I knew deep down, if she hadn't grown, she'd just repeat the cycle with a different name beside hers. As for me, I started writing. Not just journaling, but real stories. Stories about heartbreak and healing. About walking away and walking into yourself. And one of those stories got published. A small blog at first. Then a bigger one. Then a podcast invited me to speak. And for the first time, I wasn't telling a story for closure. I was telling it for connection. People messaged me. Told me they saw themselves in my journey. That my pain had helped them understand theirs. And I realized, sometimes your silence becomes someone else's voice. Years later, I looked back at our photos. Not with longing, but with understanding. She wasn't my forever. She was my wake-up call. The last time she reached out was on what would have been our anniversary. She sent a simple message. Hope you're happy. And I finally replied, thank you. Because I had built a life she never believed I could without her. Because I had discovered parts of myself she never tried to see. Because the version of me who once waited at home while she disappeared into her trips was gone. Now I was the one who left. The one who didn't ask for permission to be whole. The one who no longer needed anyone to validate his worth. And somewhere, I knew she finally understood. That telling someone to leave might just be the thing that sets them free forever.